Manchester City won, Chelsea nil, and the longer that game went on, Janusz, you were thinking this is going to take either a mistake or a piece of magic to win it. We got the latter from a little magician. That's 4 goals and an assist now for Kevin De Bruyne in his last 5 against Chelsea. Did City deserve to win that?
Well, I think absolutely, right? I mean, if you look at what happened in the first half, in particular, right? I mean, Chelsea, in terms of chances created, absolutely zero. Not even an attempt on goal, right? Not even one where that breaks a window outside of the stadium. That's how tight this Manchester City team was, right? I mean, even before the game without Ruben Dias. We don't know, of course, for sure why he wasn't playing. You'd like to think their best defender would be in the starting lineup in a big game like this. And that would have been a talking point had Manchester City did not win this game. But it really isn't. And it just bodes well for Pep Guardiola. Manchester City, their patience as well, because they had to be patient. Chelsea played, defensively at the very least, played very well.
It's not a gulf, it's a chasm now between City and Chelsea. Liverpool have still got a couple of games in hand. Is this me clutching at straws to try and get a title race, or is there still a chance? Maybe not for Chelsea now, but for Liverpool?
Highly unlikely. Yeah, this is, Chelsea was done probably before this game, right? And certainly with a loss here, there's zero chance for them to fight for the title. And, there is a massive difference for Chelsea. In terms of Liverpool, we know that without Salah and Mane, it's going to be difficult. They have Brentford. So at the very least, they can have us hoping that perhaps with that extra game in hand, there may be possibility. I think it's, when I say hoping, because you want to have a race, but realistically, you look at Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, far above everybody else at the moment.
Yeah, look, the neutrals want a title race. They want excitement to the end of the season. I think that's kind of detrimental and doing a disservice to Manchester City, because I felt in that game today, Janusz, they had at least another couple of gears to go up should they really have wanted to. They looked pretty comfortable throughout. That's just because of the quality that they've got right from the back all the way through to the front.
Yeah, and that's something that we forget, right? We forget very often how good defensively they are. I've mentioned no Ruben Dias in such a big game as well. Again, one of those games where maybe Chelsea has done a pretty good job in preventing the fullbacks like Cancelo and Walker from going forward. I think in the center of the pitch, Chelsea changed the formation from the first time they hosted Manchester City, right? They were outrun. We had Jorginho, Conte, and Kovacic in that game, and zero creativity. So today was the robust midfield from just Kovacic and Conte, and you thought that maybe Christian Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech would give that creativity, maybe would help Romelu Lukaku, but of course they didn't. And that's part of that patience from Manchester City. That, yeah, they didn't play amazingly in that game in terms of attacking force, but they just waited for that one chance, and it came from Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, and look, ruthless when you get a chance like that. How many players would score that? Kevin De Bruyne did. For me, that showed that City can win in different ways. We love watching City as a neutral in their flamboyant ways, the same like we love watching any team when they're scoring goals. But that was, I suppose it was a tactical masterclass from Pep Guardiola, in that he knew what was going to happen and he was patient and they got the job done in the end. But could Chelsea have offered more in a match that pretty much they needed to win?
I think they could, but I think they continue to have an issue, right? We've talked about the number 9. So much has been said about Lukaku, and he certainly, I think, has to take his share of responsibility. But today, I suspect that many will be talking about Lukaku, but it wasn't just his fault, right? I mean, you look at him, and you think to yourself, this is a man who's been on a deserted island, right, for years and years and years. All of a sudden, there comes in a ship. And if you're him, you're like, you don't know what to do first. Happy to see somebody. This is not a player that's going to win you games by himself. And okay, we can point out to the fact that when he first came in, you said to yourself, in the wide areas they have plenty. Without Ben Chilwell and Reece James, that service from wide position non-existent. Today was a perfect example of that, right? Is he missing that? That sort of a player that he had in Lautaro? Absolutely he is. Look who he's got around him, right? Not only there isn't a partnership in terms of in terms of physicality, somebody that can worry the other teams, right? Right now, it's easy to play against Chelsea and Lukaku. If you're a defender, you only worry about him. There's nobody else that's going to kind of take away the attention away from him, because those players are just not physical enough and not good enough. And they're very much alike. So that's the issue with Chelsea. And for City, as you said, I think they knew what was coming. They were patient. And once again, they were the better team overall.
I mean, for City, they march on. They're likely to win the title. For Chelsea, it's not going to be a Premier League, unlikely, this season, but they're still involved in the cup competitions and through to the final of the League Cup. Is it too late to slightly tweak the formation for Thomas Tuchel? And I know he likes 3 at the back, which is fine, no problem at all. But you can still play. We've seen it before with Atalanta and many other teams. You can still play with 2 more central players rather than a 3-4-3 to give Lukaku more of a support so that he's not got no one within 10 yards of him when he's got the ball. Would that help?
You could, but I think the issue is to find that partnership, right? I mean, you still have 4 or 5 players that are absolutely the same, that are underperforming, right? If you take Lukaku aside, because we've talked about him, he hasn't made it easy for himself, of course, with the interview as well. His numbers aren't great, but look at Mason Mount, look at Christian Pulisic, look at Hakim Ziyech, look at Hudson-Odoi. None of those players are having great seasons, right? And you have those players and you're trying to fit them, right? And it's not like 1 or 2 or 3 are far above where Thomas Tuchel has an easy decision to make, even Kai Havertz. So I think that is the big issue, because today I looked at Chelsea and they did what they're supposed to do defensively. They did not allow Manchester City many chances, any chances, in fact. I mean, really, it was the goalkeepers up until the goal, right? I think it was Kepa save on Grealish, and then Ederson had a great save right after halftime on Lukaku, right? I mean, those are the differences in the game. But I think if you look at Chelsea defensively, they were fine. The structure was fine. It just, they had nothing to offer going forward. This was, it's almost as if Ziyech and Christian Pulisic were there to prevent Manchester City from playing. And to me, they're supposed to be the players that give you or offer something in terms of going forward.
It's only fair that we end with Manchester City and the squad that Pep's put together and how dominant they've been as far as the points from them to the nearest challengers right now. How does this City team and squad compare with previous title-winning teams and squads under Pep, in your opinion?
Well, they're not without their own faults, right? I mean, they've done a great job in the Premier League. We all know that. I think they've proven that over and over and over again. But as I said, I still think there's some question marks when you go to Europe. I mean, there is no Kun Agüero. By now, I think we're used to seeing different players that, playing that number 9 role. Again, nothing from Grealish. He had that one chance. It's a chance that he needs to take. He didn't take that. Phil Foden wasn't special. I think, Sterling was probably the best or the most dangerous of the 3. Probably had it a little bit easier against Marcos Alonso on that side, and he took advantage of that, at least in terms of looking dangerous. But I still think in order to be at that highest level, to have the Karim Benzemas of the world, to have Lewandowski's of the world, I think there comes a game or games where you need those type of players. So, they're not spotless, they're not without faults, and they, again, may pay the price in Europe for that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.